Necromancer with another game of Diablo 2 Hardcore. We're playing on normal, level 20 on the Sorceress. We just got to Act 3, and we're going to continue on. We're rocking with the Rogue right now for our Mercenary. I don't know how long it's going to last. Our gear is okay. We've got 300 hit points because, you know, we've got an inventory of charms and such, and some okay gear. We're running real quick, of course. And we can leave a trail of fire if we wish. We're just running on. This actually makes us run faster, so there's no reason not to do it. Also, it's very stylish. Now, everybody hates Act 3, but not me. Act 3 just rewards, you know, careful movement and, like, nervous motion. You just gotta be willing to toss fireballs and stuff way far off of the screen and run away like a veritable coward. And that's how to stay above the rising of the tide. We probably need to move over to an Act 2 merc before too long, just to get them leveled up for when we want to. Steal more stuff from our necromancers. Stuff. We're so quick now. It's excellent to have such movement. Jade figurine, and of course it should be our first thing to do to bring it back, because that's going to get us 20 HP and really quite big hit point totals for this point in the game, which is perfect. It's just where we want to be. You know, you want an absolute ton of hit points, and then if something bad happens, you got insurance. Hey, Tiny Zilla. Yeah, what's up, my man? It's been a little while. Like, give me... You just gotta wait a little bit. And then he's like, oh yeah, I totally brewed you this potion. Wasn't trying to get away with not giving you anything for it. Made some progress on Geometry Dash? Awesome! What have you been tackling? So we could just cube up some rubies and then get like 100 HP in the helm. You know, it actually seems like a great idea. Why don't I do that? Alright, Control, Shift, right click. There we go. Man, this new world where we can do this is pretty good. Alright, yeah, so we can get more than 100 HP just by throwing these in a helm. So that's what we're gonna do. Which helm? The crown has slightly too high of a strength requirement. We could just put it into the mask. Why not? Yeah. We'll get to the crown strength pretty soon, but it being in the mask could be good. So yeah, we're just going to yeah, 114 is just so much life. Of course, right now we have 310, and now we go to 424. So just an absolute massive chunk. And we could, like, throw something similar into armor, but, you know, maybe, you know, if something makes us feel sketchy. But actually, with this, now we are so very tanky indeed. for this point in the game, this is a very nice very nice amount of hit points. We shouldn't have to get too scared for a little bit. I'm not going to prove it by like walking into some enemies. I'm sure Act 3 being what it is, we'll get the opportunity. You're working on being your first extreme? Is it called I'm Cooked? I played a little bit of the old club step a week and a half ago, something like that. You know, it wasn't particularly fruitful, but towards the end of the session, I felt like maybe we were eventually going to sort of get somewhere. You know, a little bit, felt a little better. You know me, I'm not very good. Seven or eight, 7,000 attempts, yeah. Well, I'm sure you'll use them well. I'm on like 13,000 on Club Step. But at least 1,000 of them are just me complaining, right? And that hardly counts. Except in the way where it definitely counts. Because they write them down forever. For a Sorceress, these areas in Act 2, or Act 3 rather, are very... They're relatively safe. I shouldn't say very safe, because while the fetishes, which is the name of these entry-level flayed ones, they have different names depending on which tier they are. The little blow dart guys. What are called Ratmen in the first act. But although they can swarm you and you could have like a super bad time over it, it's not like definitely gonna happen. So we don't have a shield yet, and eventually we need to like redistribute a whole lot of our expectations for the future. Not least because we need to start getting some decks, which is probably what we're gonna do now. Now that we got this helm for 100 and, you know, 18 hit points, but... Yeah, you know, I think the important things that I've only given up a few times. Because I did, you know, there were certain parts of it that just didn't click at all. Alright, Arachnid Layer is not where we need to be. We're going to check it anyway, because maybe they'll have an item that I want to wear, right? It's possible. Look, we got enough rune, and any rune makes it worth doing, right? Doesn't make it good. It doesn't make it worth doing. But it makes it feel like it's worth doing. We need to put some of this stuff up. Yeah, well, good night, TinyZilla. Thanks for stopping in. Best of luck in the future attempts. But the levels between like 25 and 50 are going to be pretty funny because, you know, we hit 25, get Spirit, Meteor's the level right before then, just a couple levels to Orb, the great dream of all sorceresses. I mean, it's not true. Plenty of people don't like Orb. Why? Because it's like not strong enough or whatever. But let me tell you, Orb is good despite all that. Because you've got all your fire magic to fall back on anyway. And I guess we could take, yeah, because we'll take the point into Blizzard at level 25, although that's not where we are now, right? It's just 21. Or at level 24 also, because then when we get Spirit at 25 and then some other stuff for Sorceress levels, you know, we'll be able to lean on the Blizzard a little bit on top of it until we get Orb. Although we don't have the points to spend to really get a really solid Blizzard damage out. An Ith rune, don't mind if I do. You know, I might need to set teleport to like a whole alternate screen just to make it, you know. Yeah, let's do that. Because this is not... Yeah, there we go. And then... There's a little bit more deliberateness for teleport. We should be playing such that the teleport isn't a panic response anyway, right? Because it can do more harm than good if it gets us into a situation. I don't want to accidentally be rolling my hand over and jumping into a pack that's lethal in, you know, 50 frames. Shark the Burning, who sounds like he's going to be fire enchanted, but isn't yet anyway. You know, the rogue's clearly falling off a little bit here. You know, we could find a 6-socket bow and put even better emeralds in there, but fundamentally, you know, it might be time to move on. She did find an Act 2. I like the idea of getting a bow like this, you know, but, you know, we tried. Well, let's say goodbye to Eliza. I think these guys level up okay with you. Yeah, like, they won't level up all the way, but they'll level up a good long way. Alright, can we get a Fuzzle in here? No, very sad. Emilio is a good classic choice too, but Asop is nice. So, higher defense, you know, theoretically would stop us from getting hit. Prayer is not very good. The Blessed Aim would help him hit slightly more, I guess. I guess we just take the defense and... You know, it'll be meaningful-ish, some a little bit, maybe. We'll replace him in Nightmare, of course. We've got the weird pike thing. Yes, we do. And while we could definitely put better stuff in all of this right now, we're just going to push forward a little bit. It won't be too long until we can rock an insight. And then, of course, it's a whole new world, a whole fantastic way to be. Because when we suddenly don't have to worry... Hey, Neo, what's up? How goes it? When we suddenly don't have to worry about mana, which is the case as soon as you get meditation, and then till, like, ever... Like, it's suddenly very nice to play Sorceress because you're limited by your imagination, and you don't have to go to town all the time to get potions. We are so quick, boy. Boy, are we. And Blaze makes us even faster. Plus, it's nice and, you know, it gives us a fiery set of feet. So if anyone's following us, they're sorry about it. This is grinding levels on Space Marine 2 on like multiplayer. That is the worst auto sort of all time. What if you wanted to fit something in there, game? You know, hey, at least it's a button. It's better than no auto sort at all. I should be more polite. Ah, Tech Marines. Very cool. I do not have a model of one, although I thought of getting one. Because you know, my principal faction is Space Wolves on the tabletop. So, like, you know, Tech Marines aren't exactly part of the woofy dream, you know. You got plenty of fancy guys riding wolves and the like to get. 425 is so stinking much hit points for a sorceress. Oh, it's awesome. But you know, we stole some charms from the Necro, and we built this helmet out of perfect rubies and, you know, slots in the mask for more than 100 hit points, which is just so many hit points. But that's the benefits, of course, of playing a class after you've already had one. Time to go buy potions again. No. Soon enough we'll have spirit, and that's a huge chunk. And then soon enough again we'll have meditation. And then, of course, right after going and getting potions, we could have got some. Hey, you know, it's still worth grabbing. Feed him a potion. He's not running so quick, you know. Maybe we should give him a little... run speed rune word in his armor, mayhap. And the flare's on the other side, but of course that's the thing about the wonder of Fireball. It doesn't need, like, the splash damage is, I think, the exact same as the real damage of Fireball. Like, it's all everywhere in the area. It's not like the target gets hurt more than the other ones. And the Soul Killers, you know, they'll get in clumps. And Fireball, you know, we got it at level 10 or whatever now. It's not like a super low level Fireball anymore. It definitely is being a workhorse here. What a target-rich environment. and all the annoyances that normally exist in Act 3, like having to walk around the rivers. Well, sorry, I'm too sorceress to understand what that even means. And while that warlock has its little weapon throw, which technically is sort of like a teleport, I mean, it's good for rivers. It can't go through walls, so we know who the real queen of the game is. One socket? This is worthless. Blaze damage, it doesn't really hold up in the super late game, but it's totally legit for a big portion, especially with just a little bit of plus to skills, which we do have. Well, not overall skills, but fire skills. And of course, to a fire skill, it doesn't care where the source is. If we get this, we're going to be able to give him a magic ring, Flayer dungeon right here. I was hoping to find the waypoint. Could be like over here, I doubt it. We'll just... as well go get this dealt with. Alright, so you go to 55 to be able to wear the crown. And I think we start spending dex points, because otherwise when we swap to a shield we're gonna have garbage stuff there. This will actually be better than that for him, maybe? I mean, no. Chance for Frost Nova when struck, though, is very excellent. We could make a rune word in that for him, but he'll be alright with what he's got right now. Level 25, we can take the sword. Level 29, we can grab the shield. This ring is worthless. This amulet is bad. This charm has 5 life, and we're gonna keep carrying it. I don't wanna seem too choosy. Alright, yeah, potions. I guess we'll just go to the Flayer dungeon and then, you know, haul our way up. One thing about Act 3 as a high damage character like a Sorceress is you always got to figure out if there are exploding little dudes anywhere, bone fetishes, because if they are, then you need to be super careful about casting magic at blobs if you're close to them at all, because if you just pop like 4 of them, it's probably enough to kill you. I mean, I have a ton of hit points for my levels, so for me, maybe 5 or 6. But certainly not anything that you want to be messing around with. We'll spin both of them there, and then we'll save the next 2 points so that we can grab Blizzard and Meteor. Any area like that, always a comfort, because we know they'll clump up on something and try to shoot, and we will use our superior human brain to not die. Wow, that is so many dudes, but you know, they fall down with just a little bit of prodding. Those things don't have tons of hit points, and I think the hit boxes for, you know, the heads and the arms sort of overlap a bit, so the fireballs always seem to get them in like a hit or 2, which makes them, again, one of those things where some stuff that's pretty annoying for like the summon necro, because the radius to get a corpse explosion out there might be small, and the hitbox to get to it might be a little wonky. Bunch of guys there, not too sketchy though. All you gotta do is move before they hit you, and then you'll probably be okay. Note that we're not like teleporting around everywhere in here. This is because I want to live. You must not. You can, but you must not just go around teleporting blind in most places in the game. You need to have a thorough scout on the mob types, and even then, it can be a bad idea. It just depends. You need fast cast and hit recovery. You know, there's a lot that you need. Now here, we're going to do it anyway, because otherwise we would have to walk across the wall. But it looks like we made it. No? Why do I think that guy always guarded the chest? I'm sure we'll find the chest with the piece soon then. Because that was the super unique for the floor. And they put it there. That's like a thing you can do. It obviously is. That's what they did. And you know, if we had more mana, it would be a lot easier to move quickly this way, but alright. Now we're back on track. I love teleport. Teleport makes you feel like an actual wizard. But you know, we are limited by our mana pool and cast rate, but really by our mana pool. The two of them together, when you have the max frames at like 135 cast rate, I think, for your teleport, that's where you want to be. And then like with good hit recovery, you can just sort of like push. But you still got to be careful, because if you get like stuck on a wall or something, then all the casting in the world won't help you. You wish that you had slightly less of the casting in the world and more of the judgment that was available to you that you discarded along the wayside. A very long-lasting poison. We drank a couple of potions, but the duration of the potion effect was such that they ended up, like, the poison effect was longer, right? So although the potions would have healed through the magnitude of it, we ended up taking a little bit anyway. Still, it beats, like, being responsible and taking poison resist. Although, when we get Spirit before we get that, we might just put on our amazing 3 perfect diamond shield, and like, honestly, it's very classy, right? To have like our big perfect gem things. And we could put it into like a chest piece as well and get like another big boost of HP, but I feel like the fast cast and the movement and the hit recovery is all good enough to just say, hey, take this one. You know, the problem with making this helm is it's so much HP that I might just wear it forever. I'm glad it's stylish. No, in the highest difficulty, I might well decide that resistances are more important. Just depends on where I can find the points and when, like everything else in the game, you know. It just depends on what we can get. The disused Fane, of course, we know can't be where the book is, because it's always in the ruined temple. But hey, you know, might as well go in. Maybe, you know, there's always going to be a couple of uniques in there, so you know, maybe we'll get something cool, like a ring or a pair of gloves that's advantageous, or another bonnet. No, I don't think Biggin's bonnet can even drop in Act 3. Actually, we've got the one, you know, and although we have, you know, moved past the Biggin's bonnet in usability, it will remain in our hearts the greatest of helms. Now, is the Shaco better? Yes, but a Biggin's bonnet is a level of class that a Shaco can never have. It's so stylish. Alright. If y'all excuse me for just a short minute, I am going to go and switch the old laundry over. BRB. Alright. Alright, you'll be super excited to know that the laundry has been changed over. Just as planned. Anyway. No, we need to get this, because this is worth a level worth of stat points, so... Absolutely no point in moving forward without it. I don't think it's going to be in this direction. I don't even think it could be this close to this other one. And of course, we need to go into the sewers to find another little piece of their heart now, but first, the temple. No. It's gotta be here, doesn't it? Does it not? Doesn't it? I think it has to be here. Look, I've been wrong before. I just think it has to be here. I think I just missed it. It's more likely that I just missed it somewhere than that it's somewhere else. Right. Right. Here it is. We saved this level because the next one we're gonna want Meteor and a blizzard. See where our shields are at real quick. Alright, yeah. Still pretty low. Definitely gonna have to spend all of our points for a few levels on Dex. That's okay though. That's the other thing about having this huge stack of health on the helm. Now, 114 life is worth 57 vitality points to a sorceress. You know, it's worth half of that to a barbarian, but we are a sorceress. So, you know, if we can find a way to get pure life rather than vitality points life, it's more advantageous to us to do that compared to some other classes. And now it's sewers time. Sewers can be a little rough in the mob rolls. We'll just see what we get. Bats, not too bad, you know. You just gotta know they're there. It's like, you know, I guess I could have kept on the real shield on the swap. I put it back in the box anyway. Sometimes, like, a fireball will hit at this perfect angle, and it'll hit them, and it'll keep on going past them, so it'll, like right there, it killed them, and then it just, like, it doesn't quite pierce, it just, like, you know, it just goes through them anyway. And it's super awesome when it happens. Now I'm kind of thinking, like, what if you got, like, a bunch of tier runes and just put them in, like, a couple of things for an entry sorceress or caster? I mean, that could be fun. Alright, we found the chest here. This is not the chest that has the item we're looking for, of course. That one, we have to pull the lever. Why do they even have that lever? But anyway, it's where... I think it's the heart. Whatever the piece that's there is, that's where it is. I mean, it's definitely the heart, right? Yeah. You know, I usually expect it to be on the exterior, but maybe it isn't. Either that, or we've just fallen victim to one of the classic blunders and stopped going in the direction we were going right before it would have worked. Let's get some more potions real quick. Like, did we come in here and then it was actually right here? Maybe. Sure, running out of places it could be that aren't here, right? Give them a melt. How annoying. No, these are actually like totally decent all-around boots. Like half freeze, poison leak reduce, decent magic find. If I didn't need the run walk, I would wear them, but I do need the run walk. And with the mighty heart of Kaleem, we will open some boxes. And they never drop anything. Because they're in, you know, an area where they can't drop anything. Well, you could, like, walk into Upper Crest. It's much classier to teleport in, everybody knows that. You know, I already have a couple of these fast hit recovery grand charms, so we're just gonna toss it. You wouldn't want to carry more than like one to go over a breakpoint anyway, and we already have a couple. If two was more appropriate, we could even use two. I can't foresee a situation where we would need 36 or even just more than like 10 to get through a breakpoint for it. You get 55 on Spirit, and that gets you very close indeed to a solid breakpoint. I think there's one at like 78 for a Sork. But don't let me lie to you. I'll look it up whenever it comes to that. That's my way of doing the fast hit recovery and castrate breakpoints. You know, I don't typically just have them on the top of my head. I used to know them all. You'll hear me say that all the time. I used to know all the stuff. It's even true. Back in my day. Back when I was a young man. Had my whole life of obsessive Diablo 2 playing ahead of me. Now I'm just playing, this is way better than I ever dreamed it could be then. The damage, I'm not sure how it's going to look yet, because we don't have, like, any relevant resist. We do have max cold resist, which actually kind of matters here. But, you know, if it looks a little sketchy, we'll just go to town and put on a good shield. You know, we could just go ahead and grab it, and then we could swap. Wouldn't that be a sight? because swapping the weapon will give us, you know, 59 to all resists, 57, 57, which is plenty to impress these fools. Of course, one great benefit of teleporting is we'll be able to reposition your guy to where you are in the event that you want to. Like there, you know, a little concerned about these fellas, so easy enough to reposition there, and then we'll just spike them through the wall here. We have enough hit points to where I'm sure we'll be fine. We're gonna give our guy a little bit more. I mean, I'm sure maybe we were seeking some of that. Oh yeah, he's fire enchanted, so he's probably almost immune to this. That's okay. We'll just go in over the top because we are very hardcore. And of course it works because we had just so many potions to drink. Grabbing the fire resistor over the magic find is just good sense, although, you know, I, like everybody, do love magic find. Whoops. Alright. Asab. If only you could teleport in town, right? And the potions, man. You know, once... once you get the insight, Merc, the pace of play changes so much. Alright. But it's time for Durance, which can be very dangerous, but not that annoying as a Sorc. You know, we'll walk, but to go back around in places, it'll be safe and simple. Hey. So dolls are the thing we're basically scared the most of in the world. We do have Friesen armor on, so, you know, we're unlikely to get spiked too much unless we do something dumb like teleport, like that blind, which, you know, you can think you'll be fine, but probably we ought not be doing it. I'm gonna keep on doing it though. It's just hard to be endurance and not teleport, right? Like, I am who I am. Alright, endurance pattern. If we come out with a doorway to the right and a waypoint there, we're gonna expect the stairs right here. Yep, there we go. There we go. Beautiful. I'm like, you know, let's take the weaker fireball and the resists, you know. I feel like that'll be smart here. Let's cut this fire damage by 2/3. We don't necessarily need to even have the Meteor, right? I mean, he's just gonna fall down. Now, if we had, you know, Blizzard, or Meteor, we could be doing more damage to him here, but we're gonna have to, you know. Still, it's better than being next to him. But fighting Mephisto on the moat is deeply traditional to the point where if somebody claims they don't do it, I just assume they're doing a bit. I mean, you can't do it with all classes, because not all classes can teleport and leave them over there. But, like, from this far away, you can drop, like, something like a Meteor or a Blizzard on them and, you know, be fine. But... you know, even if I had the mouse, I could probably do it with the firewall and cheese them. But, you know, we're 3 bars beneath because of a very quick endurance pattern. So we're gonna have to have a real fight. You know, fortunately with the big hit point pool and a small mana pool, in no time we'll see Mephisto fall. I assume. We're not gonna die here. We could. I mean, he has got us to half HP a couple of times. Glorious. There we go. And none of that stuff's going to be good, so we'll just walk on through here, and there's Act 3. Hello, Vegas friends. Thank you for the congratulations. Mephisto in the bag again, you know, it always feels nice. Look, if you've played Diablo 2, you've killed Mephisto thousands of times. But the first time on any character always feels the best. Look, all the bosses on normal are harder than they are later, right?
Found a dark gathering. My companion, the Wanderer, Talrasha, and a great evil who could only be the Lord of Hatred himself. Mephisto. I heard a voice that, like 1,000 needles in my heart.
Especially like with the Sorceress, because like, you know, when you're using the fireball, like when you're not like Meteor or blizzarding it, because I'm only level 23. I mean, we could have just gotten it, but yeah, these videos are so cool.
The skies shall rain fire, and the seas will become as blood. The righteous shall fall before the wicked, and all creation shall tremble before the burning standards of hell.
They just dream so big, you know.
What I saw then was not meant for mortal eyes.
The gate stands ready.
And I'm just thinking Marius, a different person would have run away before Diablo burst out of the Wanderer.
The time has come to assume your true form.
Marius is like, suddenly I realized something was wrong.
Arise, Diablo, Lord of Terror.
Walks very calmly around. Bones cracking.
You are the harbinger of our return, Diablo. Send forth your terror into hell.
And Marius is like, man, I sure am glad I have this soul stone. Brilliant. Brilliant. Should be ending. And yet... Alright, so that's a Kleeglaws. We've already picked one up. We don't need another one. For some reason I have a bunch of health potions, like that's gonna be what I need the most of. Alright, looking at the clock, I should end. It's not really a point of continuing. It's a nice tidy thing to just do Act 3. And then I can wake up in the morning, make some coffee, and play Act 4. And maybe Act 5 directly afterward, right? That could be fun. A little rest of normal. Tends to be how I do it, like a little bit of Act 1, and I finish Act 1, do all Act 2. You know, that kind of thing. We leave getting level 24 and the joy of Meteor for the next video. Maybe. This Meteor doesn't even get like super crazy until later. You know, our fireball and even like firewall. Totally fine at this level of the game. I mean, firewall is decent for ages. It's just a little tricky to get good results out of, depending on what's going on. Whereas Meteor, if you can find some way to stick them in place, like Orb, for example. Alright, time to wear the shield here. You know, we'll lose out on all the cool effects of that, but having a resist on the swap is deeply traditional and will basically save us all of this, right? Because souls do fine damage, but when you cut it by 2/3, it's suddenly not as much of a much. And they absolutely melt in the face of just a little bit of damage. You know, all you gotta do is be able to live through their nonsense. Yeah, barely hurts us at all with the shield on. What we've really proved the concept here is that if you can get just perfect gems and stuff with some sockets, that's enough of a leg up to really help a new character, which I guess I would have abstractly known, but I hadn't like applied the lessons of particularly, right? And the Necro, obviously Necro first makes everything easier. Because even if we just, you know, got like some sapphires and rubies just to get, I mean, to my dying day, I'll probably just like get a ton of potions rather than ever like socket for mana. It's not who I am, right? Yeah, socket for health so you can't die, and if you need mana, you just go back to town. Meteor time. And Blizzard. you know, they're just not very juiced up right now, but in just one level, we'll have Spirit online. And then, you know, from there, the sky is an oyster and the world is your limit. But of course now we have our other abilities. You sprinkle in your spells in between everything else falling down on it. Izzy's got 1,000,000 hit points, right? And he manages to go through all of our potions. And we just save the skill point. Yeah. If we're wearing this shield, we could use the Magified Amulet again. Not that one, the other one, the better one. I don't know where I put it. It's possible that I sold it. I wouldn't have done that. Not on purpose. Oh well. Looks like we don't need to be over capped though. Oh, there it is. Found it. And we'll be soon to end. This will be the last little segment. We're just trying to find the waypoint. The waypoint in City of the Damned is always directly above the stairs to River of Flame, so it's an excellent temporary stopping point, you know. The midpoint of Act 4, a very short act. I love Blizzard. Such good spell. I mean, it's no frozen orb, but it's so good until you get it. Technically better, but not in my heart. And not for the build we're going to ultimately make. Right, and there's our waypoint, and yeah, we're gonna go ahead and end, just like I promised. A good spot to end. Spending all the points on decks, because we need to get our block number up decent. 28's the thing we're going for, because we're gonna not be using the gemmed kite shield for very long. We're gonna swap over to rhyme, because, you know, cannot be frozen is very valuable, and the huge block difference is important as well. We might well wear the rhyme shield for like the whole life of the character and just find the resistances somewhere else. We didn't go for max block on the Necro, so the shield was just that we didn't have a two-hander, but here we are absolutely going to be going for max block. It's pretty important, I think, when you don't have the minions, but that'll be for another time, probably in the morning. Probably in the morning I will, you know, have some yogurt and make my coffee and wake up, and we'll slay Diablo and probably continue on through Act 5, or we'll die and that won't happen. In the game, I mean. Impossible to know the future. I'm certainly interested to see what'll happen there. But anyway, thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you've enjoyed. Good night, everyone. Good night, Neo. Good night, Vegas. And maybe I'll see you guys in a later stream or video.